Welcome students. In my first part of the lecture, I talked about the birds, the characteristic features of birds, and I tried to conclude on the feathers. Let me try to talk about the feathers. Feathers are the lightest possible structures found in the animal world and are unique to that of the birds. Feathers are the structures originally came into existence for the purpose of insulation, that is the conservation of body heat, but later on they got modified into the structures that help the birds to fly in the air and refute gravity. The structure of the feather is very simple and can be studied under two heads. One is the main axis and second is the broad vein. The axis is further divided into two parts. One is the calamus, the lower portion of the feather which we generally take in hand and has got circular circumference, and the rachis which is like the mid vein of the vein. The calamus or quill, which is also the other name of calamus, has got two openings. One is the inferior umbilicus and second is the superior umbilicus. It is by the help of calamus the feather is attached with the skin of the bird. The inferior umbilicus allows the blood supply, the veins, the arteries, the nerves for the purpose of sensation, and also the attachment of muscles is with that of the body of the calamus. At the position of the superior umbilicus are present certain loose barbs which are referred to as aftershafts. The rachis which is in the center of the vein is polygonal in outline and has got mid-ventral groove along the length of the body. The vein consists of barbs which branch from the rachis on either side. On the barbs are present barbules on which hook-like structures arise which aid in interlocking mechanism, and because of this interlocking mechanism the birds are able to fly. The birds like kiwi, like ostrich, like cassowary, which are not able to fly, have been found to have barbs without interlocking mechanism. Therefore, this interlocking mechanism is very important for the purpose of flight. What are the different kinds of feathers found among birds? Number one are the quill feathers or flight feathers. Quill feathers or flight feathers are further divided into three types depending upon the position they are present. Number one is the remix or remiges. Remix is the singular of the word remiges. Remix are found on the wings and are referred to as primary feathers for the flight. The identifying feature of this remix is that the vein on either side of the rachis is unequal. It is larger on one side and shorter in breadth on the other side. The rectrices are the second category of flight feathers which are found on the tail and are helping as the steering or rudder and also help in counterbalancing during the act of perching. The third category of feathers among quill feathers are the coverts. These coverts are again found on wings but are the second category of feathers which aid in flight and are found on upper and lower surface of the wing, second to the primary feathers, that is remiges. The second category of feathers are referred to as contour feathers. As the name justifies, the contour feathers are present on the general body surface of the bird and help in giving these birds the compactness and also the streamline during the flight. They also aid in the insulation, the basic purpose of the evolution of feathers. The third category of feathers are phyloplumes, and the fourth category are the down feathers. These last three categories, that is contour feathers, phyloplumes and down feathers, have either no interlocking mechanism, as is the case with down feathers, or have got less developed interlocking mechanism because they have no role to perform as far as the flight is concerned. The down feathers are the feathers found in case of the newly hatched young one, that is newly hatched bird. As you may also have seen in case of the chicken that you prepare at your places, when we pluck all the feathers including contour, rectrices and remiges, the feathers that remain on the surface of the bird, that is on the skin of the bird, are the down feathers, and they have very loose barbs without interlocking mechanism. Now let us talk about the adaptations that a bird has to undergo for the purpose of flight. There is practically no organ or organ system present in the body of the bird which has not evolved or adapted for the purpose of flight. Flight is a feature that is peculiar to the birds, and for that purpose they need to have, number one, homeothermy and very high metabolic rate. And for the purpose of flight, the very important thing was to refute the gravity, which means that the birds had to have a very light weight, and therefore they have either lost the structure or they must have strengthened the other structure for the purpose of flight. What are the different aspects of the flight and the adaptations therefore a bird has encountered? Number one is the shape. The first purpose is the shape, and this shape has to be a streamline. Why streamline? Because birds have to avoid the friction during the course of flight, and this streamline body offers minimum resistance. The second is that the birds need to have the compact body, which they have achieved, number one, by having a strong but lighter dorsal side, that is the back portion of their body, heavier ventral side. This heavier ventral side help them to adjust the center of gravity and therefore equilibrium during the course of flight. Wings were present on the upper side of the body. The lungs and the air sacs were also present on the upper side of the body, while as the entire viscera, including the muscles, which are the flight muscles and comprise 1/6 of the total body weight of the bird, are on the dorsal or on the ventral side of the bird, and it is because of these adjustments in the positioning of the body they have a compact body which help them in having a smooth ride in the air. Third feature is the feathers that they have on their body. Feathers offered, number one, the streamline to offer minimum resistance during the course of flight. They were lighter also, therefore they never had an extra burden on the weight of the bird. They offered least possible friction during the flight. They also have interlocking mechanism, particularly the rectrices and remiges, that is the wing feathers and the tail feathers, which help them in having a sort of buoyancy force during the course of flight. They help in refuting gravity by giving them the thrust so that they could get up in the air, and above all they help them in the insulation, that is conserving the body heat which help them in having a very high metabolic rate during the course of flight. The fourth adaptation is the development of wing, that is the change of the forelimbs into the wings. Wings are the marvels of evolution, as has been rightly said by Huxley. The wings are broader on the front and they taper towards the posterior end, number one. Number two, they have got the convex upper surface and concave lower surface. Why the different surfaces, convex and concave surface? The convex surfaces on the upper side allows the quick movement of air during the course of flight above the surface of the wing. Because of this, there is least pressure on the upper side, while as the concave lower side of the wing allows least movement, least velocity or less velocity of the air while during the course of flight, and which offers greater pressure on the lower side. Thus, a bird can keep itself aloof in the air during the course of flight. Fifth adaptation was that of the short tail. In reptiles, we have long tails, but in birds, we have very short tail, and in the tail region, the vertebrae, they get fused to form a structure called pagostyle, and on the tail are present the unique feathers called rectrices, which have got equal breadth of the vein on either side of the rachis. This short tail helps them, number one, as a rudder or steering to change the direction during the course of flight. Also acts as a brake when they have to settle down or when they have to land themselves on the land. Also it helps them to counterbalance when they are perching, when they are attached, when they are sitting or sleeping on the branch or wire or any other structure in the arboreal life. The sixth modification was that of the mobile neck and head. The birds have long necks with heterocoelous vertebrae, which makes their necks quite flexible, and it has been seen that they can move up to 180 degrees their neck, which helps them to, number one, eat, that is pick the grains or whatever they eat, which helps them to preen their feathers, which helps them in offense and defense. In short, this mobile neck counterbalances the absence of forelimbs as the organs of manipulation. Other modifications include bipedal locomotion. Since the forelimbs got modified into wings, they are left with only two legs, that is the hind limbs, which have maneuvered themselves or steered themselves on the forward direction, and they have got very strong pelvic girdles on which the entire weight of their body rests, and they can lay on their hind limbs, which they use for hopping, which they use for walking and other purposes. The integument in the birds is loose, very loose, which allows them to have free movements of the wings during the course of flight. They have the muscular system, which is highly developed, and the entire weight of the muscles is on the ventral side of the body, as I told you in the beginning only, which helps them to adjust the center of gravity. And the flight muscles are particularly in the breast region or in the sternum region of the body, and include two major muscles, that is pectoralis major, which helps in the lowering of the wings, and pectoralis minor, which helps in the elevation of the wings. Perching is one of the peculiar features of the birds, and it has been seen that they perch in the arboreal habitats, that is on trees, and during perching they don't have to apply any particular force. Rather the tendons, which are referred to as flexor tendons, they offer an automatic grip over the perch. Thus, they don't have to apply force for gripping the branches or other structures during perching, and they can relax, they can sleep without applying any conscious effort for gripping the branches. The skeleton of the bird, particularly the endoskeleton, has got large amount of modifications for the adaptation of flight. Number one, all the bones of the birds are pneumatic, that is, they have air filled spaces, which does not mean that the bones are very fragile, they are very hard, but they are lighter, they are stronger as compared to the bones of other organisms. Skull is firm and compact. The uncinate processes of the ribs offer compactness. The fulcrum is offered by the fused vertebral column. Fulcrum is easy movements of the wings is offered by the fusion of the vertebrae of the vertebral column. The vertebrae of the cervical region, that is neck region, are heterocoelous, which offer easy movements of the necks. The tail bones are, tail vertebrae are fused to form pygostyle like structure, which offers stability during the course of flight. And the synsacrum, that is the vertebrae of the lower back, have fused together to offer attachment to the hind limbs, which is very important because hind limbs get the entire weight of the body and they have to support that. And very important structure in the endoskeleton of the bird is the keel, which is the breastbone. This keel is boat shaped and offers attachment to the muscles of the flight, that is flight muscles, and also supports the entire viscera. The entire viscera, including digestive system, circulatory system, lungs, all other structures are supported by the keel-like structure present in the endoskeleton of the birds. Now, what are the adaptations found in the digestive system? As I told you that birds have got highest metabolic rate and they have to keep homeothermic temperature inside the body. For that, they need to have an efficient digestive system, which consists of the beak, which is used for picking, but it doesn't help in mastication, but it does have the what you call as gizzard, which has got muscular nature, which help in the grinding of the food. It has got also the rectum, last part, which helps in the reabsorption of the digestive food and water. It also doesn't allow the what you call as deposition or what you call as a collection of undigested food in it, so that the weight is added in the body, but it quickly throws out the undigested food along with the nitrogenous wastes. Very important feature here to understand is that the digestive system is very efficient and the nature of diet the bird picks has got rich carbohydrate content and least fiber content, so that the entire food is digested and very little amount of it remains undigested, which is to be thrown out along with the nitrogenous wastes. The respiratory system again is very elaborate and offers the maximum utilization of the oxygen they inhale during the flight as well as on land. The lungs are inelastic, but it does not mean that lungs or respiratory system in them is underdeveloped. Rather, they have got air sacs, and air sacs are actually the diversions of the branchings of the lungs, and these air sacs are present in each spaces that are available in the viscera, and the air that is inhaled passes via the trachea, via the lungs into the air spaces, and these air sacs are having thin membranes and rich blood supply, and they make it possible that entire oxygen content is absorbed in the blood and transported to each and every organ of the body for the maximum oxidation of the foodstuffs, which helps him in maintaining the high metabolic rate. Excretory system has again modified for the flight purpose. The urinary bladder is absent. Absence of urinary bladder means that no urine is to be deposited or stored in the urinary bladder, thus they can avoid the weight that will be otherwise on the body of the bird. The urinogenital system, the female left ovary is not present, only the female right ovary is present in the birds, which is again for the purpose of adaptation to the flight, which therefore is there to have less weight on the body. The brain and sense organs are again modified for the purpose of flight. Brain is highly developed with well developed cerebellum and cerebrum. Cerebrum offers intelligence, offers other peculiar features to the brain of the birds. The olfactory lobes are least developed, but rather they have optic lobes which are very well developed. It is said that the eyes are relatively very large in the head, and the weight of the two eyes is more than that of the head. The cerebellum offers equilibrium to the bird in the course of flight, and the power of accommodation in the eyes is tremendous, because they need to have quick accommodation for the long sight and the near sight during the course of flight. They need to have quick adjustment for the long distance and the short distance when they are in the flight, either to catch the prey or for the landing purpose. So friends, I have tried to talk about the adaptations in the birds for the purpose of flight. I talked about that entire system and entire organs that are present in the body of the bird are modified or have evolved accordingly so that the bird is able to fly, and these organs could offer least resistance for the bird to fly. Thank you very much.